So from a perspective of thinking of this medium, we live in some kind of interconnected medium. Think of it as water. So water has multiple phases. One of the phases sort of sticks up from the medium, like this iceberg. And our consciousness, our conscious awareness sticks up in yet another phase on top of that. But it's all connected. It's connected all the way through the medium. It only, phases, remember, are the same thing in a slightly different form. William James said that the mystics are right about the facts. In other words, their experience is correct, but the scientists have better explanations. So while the mystics have been talking about this forever, I think science is slowly coming around to a way of being able to describe it where we actually can figure it out in a rational way. The other way of thinking of it is to think of the fabric of reality as an actual fabric. The fabric is made out of non-local threads. But threads can weave together in complex ways. And so you have this threads, it emerges into atoms, that emerges into molecules, that emerges into chemistry, that emerges into biology, that emerges into form, like tapestries, and very complicated structures can emerge from that. But the whole thing is made up of this. At each stage of the emergence, you get new properties. So we know a fair amount about elementary entanglement at this point. We know almost nothing about what happens when you start emerging at higher and higher levels. My prediction is that the reason why bioentanglement is almost certainly true is because you don't lose anything when you emerge. You gain new stuff. So what happens at the global level when you have this huge emergence? We don't have any idea, but I expect that it involves quantum mechanics in some way that we haven't even thought of yet.
Hey guys, Andre Hodge, 7 to Truth, Infinite Potential Healing here once more. And if you watched the release I did about a very old interview, my very first one, I mentioned I'm owning my power and calling myself Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Dundee, just to be very humble. Having a lot of fun, alright? But the thing about that is just, it's owning your power and accepting who you are. And if you sit back and wait for people to validate you or whatever, not that I ever seek external validation at all, but you can be meek and stuff like that. I'm just owning it, owning who I am. I'm very comfortable with what I've accomplished and things like that. And yeah, just playing with it. You know what I mean? Like, let's own it, guys. A little while back I sent one person something that I was into at the time, and it was, I always might have got a bird blessing. I always like finding high achievers and the best at what they do and measuring myself against them. Like, one guy is Michael Jordan, obviously, and I got a story to say about that in a sec. I really love Ayrton Senna. He was an amazing Formula One driver that drove here in Adelaide, and seeing the Formula One cars in real life, it's like you think, yeah, I can be a freaking racing car driver. No, it's scary as shit, and that was so quick, and it was very, very brave. And there's a really cool documentary from 2010 called Senna, which is all about his journey and the abrasiveness he had in that high level sport where peerless peers weren't used to be challenged, and all the tantrums and all the bullshit came out. So it's a really good teaching to watch. I always loved Tiesto because whenever he played at the highest level. I remember he played Christmas night 2003, the night of the Boxing Day tsunami in Asia. He obviously had a long flight from Europe, and he would have just got off the plane. You could tell he was really tired, but he was awesome. And I talk about Tiesto a lot because I've been in the dance field when he plays, and there was just like something really really special about being in his field when he was in form. It was a magic, literally, like a connection and very, very powerful energy. Another band is Midnight Oil from Australia. whenever they played, they would just be hardcore on their game and give 100% every second. And what I said to this client, I was into Oasis, the band from the 90s in Europe, and they're pretty funny. There was a cool documentary, I think, in 2016 called Supersonic, and it was about their rise and what they went through, and they obviously an extremely powerful creative era and time and all they did, and they were quite funny and stuff. But the Gallagher brothers, Noel and Liam, they're just like, I'm the fucking greatest band in the world, you know.
We are victims of our own brilliance.
We got plectrum.
Oh!
No. Can't do it without plectrum, you see.
Oh, fair enough. All right, I'm not going to argue anymore. You know what, the Brits...
Yes.
Oh, is that disappointment?
Is that...
Yeah, all right, no, we can't.
Well, let's hear one of your songs then.
That was a big confrontation, wasn't it?
Well, you know.
About the Wasp.
Well, let's carry on and talk about how great I am.
Right.
Simple as that. I suppose it is petulant and it can be quite childish in a way, but, you know, I'm a rock star. You know, I'm paid to be childish.
Don't you think jazz was the sort of the old rock and roll?
No.
Or blues?
Blues was the birth of rock and roll. Jazz is rubbish. Let's talk about rock and roll.
I'm still not convinced. Let's talk about football.
I could convince you if you give me another 5 minutes.
No, okay, so
what's the greatest jazz tune of all time?
Mercy, 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 Cannonball Adderley.
Right, do you think it's better than the greatest rock and roll tune of all time?
They're two different kettles of fish. One's not better than the other.
No, one's and one's great. That's
what makes it better? You don't tell me why.
But nobody likes jazz, apart from people who wear jackets like that.
Listen, Mr. Buddy Tartan and Buddy... Is that real? Is that ring
tartan.
real?
That's not tartan. So, yeah, that ring is real, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's it worth?
Well, now it's been on my finger and absolutely...
It's a brilliant thing, the old songwriter stuff, though. But I'll tell you what...
Is it really?
Well...
Why don't you tell me about it then, Frank, being a songwriter yourself?
I'll tell you what...
You did, but you were so arrogant about it that I think a lot of people...
No, it's not arrogance, it's self-belief, and there's a difference, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to see the difference sometimes.
Well, it is for you, because you put raspberry in the top of your lager.
No.
People called me ma'am, and I said, where's Liam? And she said, he's rehearsing. What? What for? Has he been caught or something? You know? And she said, no, he's rehearsing, he's in a band. And I was like, he's in a band? And then she said, he's the singer. And I was like, he's the singer in a band? It's like, it must be diabolical.
It's how you write it, you know what I mean? I'm not into writing fucking morbid music like the rest of these pricks that are playing here. They all write bollocks, you know what I mean? They're all like fucking... They're all in pain. Well, my fucking ears are in pain, fucking hearing your fucking voice, you twat. You know what I mean? You're right, you know, music should be a fucking uplifting thing.
Young breed of people coming to see us. Because we're the bollocks, that's why. To be quite honest with you, we're the best band in the fucking world. And we're probably the best band I'll ever fucking see, so yeah.
Who would you like to interview?
No one.
But let's be hypothetical.
Go on.
So, we're sitting here in North London, and John Lennon's sitting there. Obviously, this is hypothetical. What would you ask him?
Nothing.
Would you not even be a bit intrigued?
No. I'm not here to be asking about his life. I don't care about his life. All I care about is his music. And I don't need to drill him on his music because it's there and I listen to it and that's all I get from it. Because I'd ask him one question and then he'd just go into anything and before you know it I'd end up licking his face. And we wouldn't want that, would we? And then he'd probably think I'm a bad dick and that'd be the end of it.
I think you might enjoy it.
And, well, yeah, so they say, yeah.
How are you, Liam?
Godlike.
Godlike. How you feeling?
Godlike.
Good. Thanks for coming by.
Pleasure.
What are you eating?
It's one of my missions. I have to drop in on you every now and again.
Yeah, we always like to see you here, too. The fourth Oasis album, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, is in stores now. The cover of the album, New York Skyline.
Yeah, I thought I'd pay you respect and that before I blow you up and that, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought the reason was. Why New York on the cover? What is it about New York that you like so much?
I don't think you got anything happening for you until I sort you out, innit?
Yeah, that could happen too, of course. Do you like coming to New York? Do you like?
I love it, yeah.
Yeah. What do you do when you're here?
Well, just eat burgers, man, and look at the skyline. And especially like that thing over there, LG, Liam Gallagher.
Oh yeah, did you see that up there?
Love it.
That's intuitive. Just think, 365 shows. I
made that myself.
And they're pretty funny. There was a cool documentary, I think, in 2016 called Supersonic. And it was about their rise and what they went through. And they, obviously an extremely powerful creative era and time and all they did. And they were quite funny and stuff. But the Gallagher brothers, Noel and Liam, they're just like, I'm the fucking greatest band in the world. You know, like, very, very modest. But there's a real big difference between self-confidence and arrogance. And when you've achieved stuff, you know, you can call it out, right? And all I'm doing is just, I don't usually do that, and I'm offering that being here on Earth, being aware, is a huge soul achievement, and calling our achievements out, you have to own it inside, alright? This reality, I call it the unawareness realm, isn't really designed to give you validation for how amazing you are. You have to own it yourself. And a lot of the people that find me are what I call the peerless peers in their local reality, and you're going to be the apex of all around you, and what you're going to do is trigger a lot of projections from the healers and all that sort of stuff. So if you, for instance, if you're picking up a lot what you think about me and stuff, and that's cool, right? Use me as a reflection and see what you get. It might be me and you're probably tuning in, and that's all cool, but why don't you just choose to raise the bar on yourself, and whatever you get is like, oh fuck, Andre's reflecting shit at me, because it's my stuff, it's not his, okay? Trust me, I'm very thorough, and I'll find out my issues, and people around me know all my stuff, and there's some stuff that hasn't been said that no one knows, because it's pretty high level. Look, I've done the Galactic Special Forces stuff, like I said, and created Galactic History too. Those sort of things, right? And created a lot of content, being out public and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, I broadcast my truth, and it's there for discernment. And the idea is, when you broadcast your faults, you give the people the data to discern you, but then you can get on the other side of it. It's like, yeah, okay, all this stuff, but still all that. So what I'm saying is, operate in a transparent way. You're dealing with potentially very, very high level intuitives that can see through you, alright? Like, say, some shamans, I know you get on their table and they see all your crap, and it's okay. There's nothing to be fearful of being transparent and seen. When you're trying to hide, that's a different thing. So people can manipulate and all sorts of stuff, alright? So I don't want this to be too long. They tend to be and stuff, and I hope you've taken the time out to listen to the Truth Frequency Radio. There was a lot of stuff at the end. Had some pretty cool stuff go on. This is after June 21, and I mentioned Michael Jordan before, and I had something really, really cool for me happen on the night of June 21 in the dream time, and I actually had the 1990s Chicago Bulls in my backyard during the dream. And I was helping them hide from all the media and stuff, and that night I decided to start watching a TV series on Netflix called Maniac, which is really cool. If you're feeling like the world is crazy and you're the only one sane, but it's making you go insane, it's a really cool journey of a documentary to watch, and it's sort of like medicine. And I didn't watch the full series in that, but I got about halfway through, and then I went to bed. And what happened is, in my sleep, I had Dennis Rodman come in, and it was all about issues and stuff, and all the issues being brought up being in such a microscope of huge focus during the 90s. So it was that era of like him, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and they were all sitting in my backyard just chilling out, like hidden and safe and stuff. And yeah, then I had this time of thanking Michael Jordan, like truly deeply having a connection with him and giving him a hug and thanking for all he's done for everyone and for me as well. And he was genuinely grateful in the dream. So it was really special for me, alright? So so this purpose of this video, it's part 12 in the Multidimensional Method to the 3D Madness series, and this is going to be a really cool one for many of you, and it's skipping a few steps, but I thought I'd do it now because I've got it pretty much in my awareness, and my videos are all a bit of a scattered sort of pattern. If I go to the image, it's a bit windy today. There's a method to my madness of these videos, and they're all scattered a bit all over the place for big downloads into your cellular memory that I've sort of said about the memory videos which are out there, parts 9 and 10. So just imagine all the scattered information I've offered is an opportunity to integrate components to some outcome that I don't see at the moment, but then again I'm sort of giving you the keys to my journey that I integrated to be able to perceive how I perceive in my own special way of going from the unawareness to awareness. So I've sort of worked out a mechanics, and this is just a pathway. There's infinite sort of pathways, so yeah. But this one, part 12, what I'm calling it is advanced empathy, your reality sonar. And what I've learnt about things and perception and reading and tuning into things is I'm just going to associate very advanced empathy to sonar. Right? There's creatures out there that use sonar, such as bats and whales. So shout out to you if we've had a whale pod past lives. Many of you no doubt have been grid workers on that level and in another skin suit. I did a couple of recordings with Andrew back in 2016 about the whales that are out there, which are pretty cool. So I hope you've explored them and gained a lot from them. But yeah, I think there's a lack of comprehension of how to truly add a very advanced perception benefit of deploying empathy. A lot of people perceive empathy as just reading another person and tuning in, and sensitives get overwhelmed by the empathy of what they receive from others, and they don't know how to deal with it, and have to accommodate their lives with the level of sensitivity and all those sort of things. And what I want to do is offer this sort of teaching of, okay, that's a step, and there's probably a prerequisite to this particular recording that that I've been brewing for a while to get into the zone to do it, and that's about emotional mastery. It's like the consciousness Tetris, a foundational component, and this might be a bit more advanced, but I think what will happen is you'll get this concept and you'll realize, oh, I've got to raise the bar on what I'm sensing and get past that and desensitize to a lot. So what I'll try to do is do what I did in the Truth Frequency release at the end, where I talked about Wolverine and some stuff that I was perceiving about influences over Dreamtime and that were going on with me. In the movie, the second Batman movie with Christian Bale, which that series is awesome, in a whole teaching it's all about, to me, a journey of the shadow self, alright? Like the Bat, he transmuted from being his vulnerability to his strength and his symbol, alright? The Bat as a symbol, to me it's about shamanism, okay? But the Bats have one of their technologies in their skin suit is sonar, so that they can pick up the bugs in the sky and stuff like that. In the second Batman, The Dark Knight, with the Joker and Heath Ledger, what Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne does is the guy that was running his organization, Wayne Enterprises, the Morgan Freeman character introduces him to this sort of mobile phone technology that he uses to read the insides of a building that were being scouted out to sort of do a overseas Hong Kong operation by Batman. And what Bruce Wayne does is he takes that technology and expands it and makes it like a very invasive scanning technology that he can see through mobile phones around the city anywhere and stuff. And the Morgan Freeman character basically like says this is not on, and he threatens to quit. And when they capture the Joker, he employs it, and it's really, really cool, right? Because it's a great sort of visualization of what I'm sort of trying to say, is how you can actually employ your empathy. And I'm using empathy as a familiar sort of thing that most people have, and if you're here, you're probably dealing with it. You're probably like me for many years, which is another thing I'll get into, how you splice up what is you and what is everyone else. If you haven't done the healing and stuff like that, it can be tough to separate what is you and what isn't you. And I have explained me in part, and I'll do it a bit more relative to sort of etheric implants and all that sort of stuff that I was perceiving. That it took me a long time to realize the majority of the shit I'm picking up isn't actually me, but I didn't have the experience to be able to separate me from it, because I chose to go the very, very thorough and raise the bar on me, and I assumed everything was me, and that raising the bar on me was thoroughness, eliminated doubt. Okay, so a lot of people, they resist spending money, they use excuses and stuff, and they think spirituality should be free and all that sort of stuff because they're in crisis and all that. And what happens is you just get hooked into their shit. And yeah, I'm going to talk about crises because I've been in a lot of other people's crises, and it's had a lot of blowback from me in my life. But yeah, that technology and that expression in that movie is really, really profound, and it's a beautiful visualization of how you can actually, in my opinion, really expand the variable that is empathy to a whole new level. All right, because what you can do with empathy is you can sort of use it as a catalyst to engage that sonar and that remote abilities. If you go that level, I'm just going to associate it with empathy because it's a bit easier to do that. It's a familiar sort of variable that most of us have. And then you can identify the traits, the issues of everyone that you know and stuff like that. And then it becomes a component to the apparatus of your perception mechanics. And I'll just show you a drawing. So this is a bit of a quick one that I sort of tried to draw and stuff, where it's awareness mechanics, and I'll get into this a bit more and stuff. And I use the metaphor, if you're old enough to remember what a dial-up connection is, and to me what awareness is about the processing of a volume of data at any one unit of time. So imagine all those circles are Tetris, and they're coming through to you and stuff, and there's little lines in the middle, and then there's the vaster lines on the outside. So just contemplate that awareness is the ability to process the volume of data in any unit of time. And this is just, say, seen and stuff, but you can also be tuning into the unawareness realms and the unseen realms and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so just imagine the volume of empathy and all the ingredients to your reality sonar technology via empathy. It's just a matter of tuning into all the data and variables to add to the algorithm that you're perceiving. So if I go back to the algorithm image, so just imagine if you have a real solid observational foundation of empathy in this way, and how much it will add to the equation of your perception. Okay, so yeah, see your infinite potential as as an ability to absorb more information, to put it into your cellular memory, to process an algorithm that gives you a pattern, that gives you a perception. Okay, that's just some of the mechanics. And so I'm not going to get into emotional mastery here. Okay, emotional mastery is a whole big teaching in itself, which I'll like to get into because I had a journey with that myself, which might help. But just understand that if you don't have a solid strength on your emotions, knowing which are yours, knowing which aren't yours, and then when you get strong with it, what happens with people around you. And I'll show you something pretty cool. Another image. This would be pretty funny. So this is sort of 3 drawings in one, and it's pretty easy. And like the reason why I do these pencil drawings is Albert Einstein said, if you can't teach a 7-year-old what you're trying to teach, you're not going to be a very good teacher. And I've got this funny joke that Einstein's like, Andre, you are abusing my genius. And I'm like, chill out, Einie. I'm not abusing it, alright, mate? This is just, it's my frequency, my expression, and just making it easy for people. But this is 3 stages, and it's this one, then the one over there, and then the bottom one. Okay? So what can happen is, when you're going into your strength with emotional mastery and you're not being affected and unbudgeable, is people like to use emotional leverage, okay? And that's a seesaw. So there's a person here that's, say, you, and then there's this person jumping on it here, alright? And you imagine that seesaw is the emotional leverage that people use to try and manipulate you. So you see that there's an area that this guy is jumping onto the top, and what happens when you jump on a seesaw and there's someone at the end, it's like, it makes you go flying, okay? So you can see that there's this arrow here that's trying to get underneath you, okay? So if I show you another drawing quick, I've shown this drawing many times, but see that emotional leverage is trying to budge your energy field in your defense and get in there and manipulate you. People can have entities and chips and etheric implants. There's a reality program architecture I made for Andrew. It's the first body one that talks all about the influences, because I know I've cleared chips for years. Like, people want to chat to me and interact with me because they're driven to want to interact, but what's happening is, on another level, they're wanting clearance, and any text message and all that sort of stuff is something I know I've cleared even when I was being hammered with energy doing all the videos for Andrew. So now I've taken back all that energy, and my perceptions have gone off the charts, and I'm sort of implementing a new protocol, which is committing to the healer path, which I have to be very responsible for those seeking me out for sessions. So that's why I've just shifted quite a bit, and I'm getting confident, like owning my Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Dundee, okay? It's because I'm confident in myself and I'm owning my power, and I'm being an example that it's okay to blow your own trumpet. It's time to blow it, alright? Because we are the elders, we are the ones that are leading the way, and we're holding the energy for a lot in this pretty awesome time, alright? So if I go back to that other image, so you see the emotional leverage seesaw that people do to manipulate you, to get under your defenses, to compromise you. So what you can do is, you can sense the intent of people in this second one down here, and what you know is that there's an agenda to get you to do the bidding and compromise your field, to get compromised, or play a emotional manipulative game, because you're an empath, and as an empath we just want peace, alright? So we appease the peace, and this is what happened to me in this situation in Sydney and stuff, because the relationships just escalate, and then people get familiar of your traits, and they have an agenda of what they want and stuff, and being spiritual people and being governed by wanting the best for everyone around you and not being governed by self-service, it can make you very vulnerable, right? And I'm just sort of offering this to as a bit of a component to get that reality sonar technology going, because this is a very familiar pattern for many of us, right? So what happens from that second one to the third one at the bottom, and I apologize how rushed and a bit unclear it is, but see, instead of being flung like this and compromised and put off your game and perhaps smashing you for 6 months that you need to put back together, what if you just like say, fuck this, you're not going to mess with me, I'm going to hold this energy. You can try and jump on that seesaw as much as you freaking want, and what happens is when you hold it, what they might do is get flung away, alright, and blown away by all the influences around them and stuff, and they might escalate the tantrum and play you the false victim to try and manipulate you more, but you just got to hold it and own your state, alright? You are not responsible for the emotional state of another at all. We are individually emotionally responsible for ourselves. And I'm mid-40s now, and the generation sort of after us, they've never really, in Australia for instance, we've had it pretty easy, and people had a lot of comforts, and they've never known hardship and stuff. So society as a whole has been pretty much bubble wrapped, and you have to see that there's a general sort of pattern of society makes each of us responsible for everyone else's emotional state, which is, from my perspective, it's designed to compromise your psychic defense, to make us vulnerable to influence. And if a society doesn't even believe you can be manipulated, you have an energy defense, you have energies, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a recipe for how things are on some levels. And you got to see like the weak sort of thing is being totally supported by the system and stuff, because of course it's encouraging compromise, alright, to be malleable, to forming a pattern of the society that is desired for control. Okay, so all I'm saying is this is sort of a step to the reality sonar technology that empathy can be deployed for, but they can be like speed barriers that you need to get through. Okay, and like when you go through the speed barrier, there's a lot of resistance, but then it's clear on the other side, and the people around us might not like us changing or owning our power because they were getting benefit from us not having it. And all I'm just wanting to encourage is, if I go to another drawing I haven't shown for a while, see how all the pushback from society of being governed by being responsible for everyone else's emotional state leaves you in the box of the 3D 5 cents, when, say, the reality sonar technology is out there in a multi-dimensional level that gives you a huge advantage of scanning everything and seeing it all on an observer level. So you can actually use your sonar technology to tune into the emotional states of people and read it and read the patterns and stuff. It's a bit windy, sorry about that. So I'm trying not to make this too long. I hope this sort of gives you an indicator of, ooh, holy cow, there's a whole new level that I didn't even realize. And one of the things I had to learn was desensitizing to the sensitivity. And what you can do is go into tough situations where it is tough empathically, like venues and all that sort of stuff, and the world isn't bubble wrapped. It's courageous to challenge yourself and go into situations, because if you get into grid work and stuff, you're going to be sent to the worst of the worst locations, and you've got to be able to hold yourself no matter what, alright? So, see, what would happen with the reality sonar technology is you might be, like, sometimes, like, I go to the gym and stuff like that, and you might just get shut down and just like, oh, all of a sudden you got to just nap. You can be going off and doing Dreamtime missions, sure, but what can happen is you just lean into a situation and you get the subtle, like, just absolute depletion. And what that can be is your defense kicking in. It's like, ooh, no, there's a trap, alright, there's an ambush, Maybe someone's going to be there that's going to be messed up and run with entities. Maybe you're going to catch a bus that's going to have someone that wants to sit next to you and dump all their energy and all that sort of stuff, alright? So the scanning technology can be a real, like the Sonar tech can be through time, through events and stuff, but also you got to be able to separate whether you're just justifying inaction, which is the trinity of choices, because you're not willing to push yourself, or it's a defense thing. These are all separate subtleties this sort of technology can assist you with. So yeah, that's just some of the ways that you can separate this specific thing and test it out and trial it out and take what is in you already to the next level and be a huge ally on a level you can't even comprehend right now. So yeah, that's a bit of an overview. I hope that's helped. Try not to make it too long because a couple of the recent releases have been quite long. You are an amazing being. You wouldn't be here, you wouldn't have all this awareness, you wouldn't have had the investment into, say, my stuff if you haven't. Own your Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine Dundee, okay? It's your time. So own it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for me being a part of a journey. And until next time, Andre out. Cheers.